Hey everybody, DM Jim here, and welcome to another episode of Game Terrain Engineering. This is going to be a short video. This is focused on Gaslands, which is a game that I've done some terrain and some cars for. It's a vehicular combat game, and it's absolutely one of my favorite games to play. I've been creating little matchbox cars with weapons and such. Well, I've had a couple emails and some comments from Gaslands players asking me if I would do a complete video start to finish showing how to make a combat vehicle. That includes, drilling out the frame, painting it, adding weapons, weathering, things like that. So I'm happy to do that. I am going to tell you right now, I am by no means an expert at making combat vehicles for Gaslands. I have seen some incredible vehicles on the Gaslands Facebook page. There are people out there doing just some amazing stuff with rigs and sports cars and stuff like that. I just make what I like, and if you don't like the look of it, that's okay. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I picked a car at random. I went to Target, found a car that I thought I could do something with, and brought it home, and you're about to see the steps I did to take it from, stock from the store all the way to the finished product. And also later in the video, I'm going to give a very, very short demo of how I made some custom weapons in a CAD application and then 3D printed them. This car doesn't require you to have a 3D printer. Most of the work on it was, painting and weathering and stuff like that. But for the weapons, instead of going for pre-made weapons on like plastic sprues from model kits and stuff, I decided to try my hand at creating some custom, very miniature weapons in a CAD application called Tinkercad, and then printing them out on my 3D printer to see how they looked. And I'm pretty happy with how they turned out, but I'll let you be the judge. Let's go to the table. I started out by drilling out the rivets, and basically I just used a drill bit that's just a little bit wider than the size of the rivets. It doesn't take long, just use a power drill. And here are the components separated out: chassis, shell, windshield, and then the interior. And then I glued the wheels. Now, some people prefer to glue this to a base. I don't like bases, so I just glue the wheels with some super glue and then hold them tight for 10 seconds or so, and the wheels won't roll anymore. I mounted the cars to some little dowels and then took them out in the garage and painted everything with some primer. And then after the paint dried, I used some metallic acrylic paint to hit the rims of the wheels. And I also did some detailing on the rest of the chassis. After I did the rims, I went around the tires with some black paint to correct any mistakes that I made. I took the interior and I painted up the seats, the steering wheel, a few other areas. You don't have to do this, but they are visible through the windshield. And then I used a purple acrylic to do the trim work on the chassis that will be visible when the top is mounted. I went even underneath the chassis because, when you're looking at it, you don't know what's going to be visible versus what's not. I didn't want to come back and paint again, so I turned it upside down and painted underneath the chassis where I thought someone's eye might catch. I went with a dark gray, a flat gray for the entire body. And then the body has some details on top, like a turret and some little gun-like things. I just hit them with different shades of silver, and I think some white. And I also took the original purple and did the trim work. I test fitted everything right here and put the interior down on the chassis. And once I was happy, I super glued it in place. As you can see, it would look cool just the way it was with a roll bar, but I still need to add the top piece to it. So here I am adding some detail paint. I took the original purple, in just very small places. I didn't want to do the whole thing, but I just did some odds and ends around the windshield to give it some color on top. On the back, I hit the turret, I hit the little red lights, as you can see there, and then I added some silver and black to various components. And then I went back with all the colors and did touch-up work where I made some mistakes, things like that. When I was done with that, I cut out a little piece of silver mesh for the inside and mounted it. I used hot glue to hold it in place on the inside of the top shell. I tried super glue and it just didn't adhere well to this metal mesh, but the hot glue worked fine. I'll put a link in the description below for this metal mesh that I used. Then I glued the top on. Now these are two tiny weapons that I 3D printed. I designed them in Tinkercad and I'll show you how I did that towards the end of the video. But they're very tiny, about a centimeter in length each, and I glued the longer one on top of the turret, and then I glued the little short one, which you'll see how I made it in the tutorial at the end of this video. I glued it on the front. After that, just for some detail work, I took some very fine chain and super glue, and I went around the edge of the fenders and the door, and then the back of the door, and then up the rear of the fenders. I just covered it in a very fine chain. I thought it added something, unique to the car. Up next, I took some metallic silver and just hit those weapons that I mounted. They were 3D printed in plastic, in black plastic, and so I needed to color those. So I painted them. I can't remember. I think it was gunmetal silver is what I used. And it turned out really good, but it was a little bit shiny, so I knew I was going to have to take a wash to the weaponry. And here I'm using a military shader from Army Painter, and that is going to go over the gray. I painted the entire body, all the gray, with this green, very dark green. I was not sure how it was going to turn out, but I really do like it. It lightened the gray to like a military shade of green. It's very hard to describe, but it looked good. The purple that I originally painted on the fenders also needed a wash, so I used a blue wash to get all of it right here, the blue tone from Army Painter. It didn't take a lot of this. The purple, I wanted the purple to remain, but the blue wash just really made it jump out. It lightened it up pretty good, and it gave it a weathering. And then finally I used the dark tone from Army Painter to hit the weapons, because remember, they were just too silvery looking, and the dark tone does a real good job on the chain and the weapons, taking some of that shine off and letting it, giving it a weathered look, or at least toning it down and darkening it a bit. There's the final car. I hope you like it. I'd like to create some custom weapons for my Gaslands vehicles, but I don't have a lot of time right now to, experiment. I have a couple cars that really need weapons. So if you're in the same boat I am, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you to take a visit to Thingiverse.com. It's a free website. You can create an account, but it's not required. Up here in the search term, I am going to search for flamethrower. All right. You can search on terms like machine gun, things like that, and you'll see a mix of things. Some of these won't be relevant to you, but others will. And what I like to do is I like to find someone who's doing a lot of custom work. This guy right here, 4-post D6, right here. If you click on it, it'll open the item, but you can click on a person's username and go to their account. You'll see he's got 71 designs here. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm just looking for something interesting. Now, I've already done this, so I know what I'm looking for. He has a weapon down here, right? Let's see if I can find it. This one right here. It's called the Ripper Gun. I'm going to click on it. Here it is, opened. Now, I'm not interested in this entire gun. Specifically, I'm interested in this front half right here. All right? So what I'll do is I go to Thing Files, and I download this STL file by just clicking on it. Okay, I will save the file. It saves it into my downloads folder. Now I'm going to go into Tinkercad. Now ignore this for right now. This is the end product. But what I want to do is I want to show you how I made these. So you come up here to import and choose a file. Click open. And I'm going to click import. This could take a few seconds. It could take a minute. It just depends on the complexity of the object. Now that didn't take long at all. So here is the gun that I downloaded. Okay, I'm going to rotate it. With my 3D printer, for example, where the word work plane is, this is the front left corner. So what I'm going to do here is, first thing I need to do is clean this gun up. I want to delete away what I'm not going to use. So I'm going to drag this box out here. This is a whole object. See how it's open? You know, you can kind of see through it. See the shadow here? Anywhere that this solid object combines with a whole object, when you combine them or group them, whatever is shaded is going to be deleted away. So let me show you. I'm gonna scoop this up. All right, right there. That looks good. So I click this and I hold down Shift and I click the whole box here and I go up here to Group, and there it is. That's what I'm left with right there. This would be a nice little gun to put on top of a turret, for example, or you could mount two of them on the hood of a car. Let me lower it down to the work plane real quick. Right there. Notice the 0, 0 right here. That says it's resting on the plane. I can rotate all around it and take a look. Now what I need to do is I need to size this. Now this thing right here is 7.99 millimeters, or 8 millimeters. 10 millimeters is a centimeter, so it's not very big. I mean, you could make it huge, small. Let's make it a good 1 centimeter. So I'll take it up to 10 or thereabouts. Go down just a little bit more. Right there, 9.84. Close enough. I need to cut this in half. Now I could print this with my 3D printer. The problem is some 3D printers want on curved items like this. See this curved piece right here? You have to, and there's nothing underneath here. See how the barrel is above? This would need a support. I do not like to print with supports if I can avoid it. One way to do this is to cut it in half and lay the two halves down. All right, I'm going to take a whole object. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of it. Sorry. Control C, Control V. So now I've got two of them, right? Take this and pull it here, and I'm going to copy the whole object and then merge it here. There we go. Group. Half. All right, let's do this one. I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not going to go exact here. All right, let's move it over just a little bit. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, group those two. There's my other half. Now all I have to do is rotate these 90 degrees to lay flat. 90 degrees, and then take them down to the desktop and go down to 0. Now both these halves are resting on the work plane. Now if I print these out in plastic, I pull them off and then I just have to glue the halves together and I have a working, whatever that is, laser, gun, whatever. Now let me show you. I've done this on a bunch of different pieces here. Let's see. This one right here is this. Here's a 50 caliber right here. I believe that's what that is. I don't remember where I got this one, and I don't remember where I got this one. This one was a flamethrower, I believe. It had a little nozzle here with a flame. I thought it looked cool. And so here they are split in half, and if I print them and glue them together, I'll have 4 little, well, 5 if I do this one. I'll have these little tiny guns that I can mount to my Gaslands cars. And that is how I do it. And there you go. That's how I took a... I wish I'd have bought 2. Then I could show you the start or the beginning and the end. But there it is. It's a little buggy-like vehicle. It has a machine gun on the top and a machine gun on the front here. The chain is around the door and stuff is more for just decoration. But I hope you like it. It's definitely a car I'll be adding into my collection. One of the things I've really tried to work on with my Gaslands cars is giving them more color. The first few I did, like this one, were very bland, sort of a rusty, beat up, dirty look. And this one turned out great. I was very happy with it. This is the one with the chain holding down the twin guns here. I liked this one. But I want some color, and so I hope you can see this. With the color adds a nice little punch to it, and also the weathering. I think I'm getting better with the washes and matching the wash to a base color that sort of brings it out. The colors, when this was just hand painted and the colors by themselves, they were very vivid, very bright, and it looked like paint. I don't know how to describe this. It didn't. There was something not quite right. But after I put the washes on, it tones down the paint a little bit, and it makes it look, in my opinion, it makes it look more real, like a miniature vehicle. I really like how this one turned out. This one's going to be fun to play. But again, real simple. Drill out the holes if you want to. You don't have to. You can just spray paint the whole car by itself. I glued the wheels so they don't rotate. I took this piece apart. I took the glass, or the windshield part, pitched it, and used that metal grating for inside the windows there. And painted the top half gray, painted the lower half sort of a purple, and then added some detail and weapons. And then for the wash, it was a green wash over the gray, which gives it a military, it's hard to describe, but in real life it's definitely sort of a military shade color. The blue tone really brought out the purple and sort of changed the color. It was a surprise to me. I didn't expect it to be this drastic, but I'm quite happy with it. And then of course I went around the frame of the door with some chain there all the way around, as you can see. The contraption on the back, I believe I'm going to make that a mine dropper or maybe a flamethrower. I don't know. Anyway, if you have any questions about this, post it in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer. This was just a very short video. I have another short video coming up that I want to squeeze in. Another viewer asked me if I would show him or her, I don't know if it was him or I can't remember, if I would show how to paint a zombie. Okay, I am not an expert zombie painter. I'm not an expert miniature painter, but I do have this zombie right here. Okay, see him? This is a WizKids zombie, I believe, WizKids. And I'm going to get to painting him for another video, show you how I would paint a zombie. Again, there are a million ways to paint them and make them the way you like it, but I'll show you my particular method. So that's coming up soon. Do please keep the requests coming. If this was a request, how do you make a car, or show me how you make a car, paint a zombie. If you've got a request, something you'd like to see me tackle, I'm not promising, but I'll certainly give it a try if it's a reasonable request and if it's something that I can do. If it's something I can't do, I may have to experiment before I tackle a video. Enough of that. Thanks for joining me on this episode. If you haven't played Gaslands yet, I'll put a link in the description below so you can get some more details about it. But it is a very fun game, very inexpensive. Sad news right now when I'm shooting this video is apparently the Gaslands rulebook is sold out everywhere. You can't get it. Although I do have it on good authority from someone at Osprey that here in the US, I know the books are going to become available very quick. So if that doesn't tell you that the game is fun and popular, it's sold out. And it's like a $12 rule book. So, definitely inexpensive enough for you to buy it and check it out and see if you like it. But trust me, it is fun. It's so much fun making these little miniature cars with weapons. It's even more fun putting them on a table with other people and rolling and shooting and rolling and exploding and all that good stuff. So anyway, Gaslands, check out the details below. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next episode.